This is Channel 13 News. I'm Lindy and this is Jenna.
Thank you, Lindy. It's a dry and dusty day. Today is the Douglas-Lincoln debate. It started at 2 p.m. and between 10,000 to 12,000 people are here today. This debate is the first of 7 debates. It will be an exciting day for everyone. Lindy?
I have to agree, Jenna. Aren't you wondering why someone so unknown like Lincoln would go up against the great Douglas? He's going to need a powerful speech to overcome the little giant.
Yes, I definitely agree, Lindy. Now let's go to our on-site reporter, Tristan.
Thanks, Jenna. I'm here at the very first Douglas-Lincoln debate. Who will win? Judging by the looks of it, Douglas, but it's too early to tell. Douglas has already spoken. Let's listen in to Lincoln's speech.
Now, my friends, I wish you to attend for a while to one or two things that in that Springfield speech. My main object was to show, so far as my humble ability was capable of showing to the people of this country what I believe was the truth. That there was a tendency, if not a conspiracy, to show those who have engineered slavery questioned for the last 4 to 5 years to make slavery perpetual and universal in this nation. A house divided against itself cannot stand. I believe this government cannot endure permanently half slave and half free.
Wow, what words. This definitely would be an interesting race to the Senate seat. I'm here with a Douglas supporter and a Lincoln supporter. Let's see what they have to say. How do you feel about this debate?
I think Judge Douglas has won this debate. He really overpowered Lincoln out there. Did you notice that Lincoln didn't answer any of Douglas's questions? I don't trust that guy at all.
Do you think Lincoln can handle the Senate seat?
Absolutely not. Lincoln doesn't have the experience required for the Senate seat.
Why are you so against Lincoln?
Because Douglas has been here for a while. You don't need to change what isn't wrong.
Amanda, how do you feel about this debate?
I feel the Lincoln one because when you hear him speak, you know that he means what he says. I also think his House Divided speech was amazing.
But you don't think someone who has been here for more, more trustworthy, as Marvin said?
No, I don't. I don't think we should judge someone based on squatters' rights.
Good point. Why are you against Douglas?
Because I don't think he's going to help the slavery issue as much as it's needed.
And there you have it. Back to you, Wendy and Jenna.
People at home can decide who the winner for themselves is.
This is Channel 13 News signing out.
Good morning and welcome to Room 21 News. I'm Jane Adams. And I'm Joanna Baldwin Turner. Today we have a very special news report. The third Douglas-Lincoln debates took place today in Jonesboro, where approximately 1,500 people were in attendance in the heavily Democratic popular area. Former Judge Stephen Douglas began the debate by charging Abraham Lincoln and the Republicans with saying one thing in one part of the state and then something different within another part of the state. Douglas also charged Lincoln for standing for racial equality. Lincoln denied he said different things in different parts of the state. He then went on to prove that Democrats had said different things in different parts of the state by quoting various documents and speeches by several Democrats. Standing by in Jonesboro is our on-site reporter, Luna Lovejoy. But before we go on scene with her, here is the forecast for this evening. Right now, it's mostly cloudy with a high of 55 and low of 45. Tonight will be in the low 40s. The rest of the week looks to be about the same, with the highs being in the 50s and the lows being in the 40s. There does seem to be a few days in the week where we will be having a light rain, and then we're back to sunshining days. We will now be going on-site with our reporter.
Thanks, Joanna Jane. I'm standing here in Jonesboro with none other than former Judge Stephen Douglas, also known as Little Giant, and Abraham Lincoln, also known as Honest Abe. Now, these debates, they were whose idea?
The debates were my idea, but Judge Douglas here decided all the details, like where they were and what time and etc.
I see. Now, Judge, debates are about whether the issue of slavery was a moral problem or a practical problem. You speak on behalf of popular sovereignty. Would you care to tell us more about that?
Yes, I believe that popular sovereignty, or the doctrine that the people are the self-government and the government is subject to the will of the people, would help us decide whether or not to have slavery. I believe it to be the people's choice. Mr. Lincoln says that this republic cannot endure permanently as a slave and free states. It must either become all of one or all of the other. Otherwise, this government cannot last.
Mr. Lincoln, would you care to add on to what the judge has said?
I would like to say that I believe slavery is morally wrong, and we should stop it from spreading any further. If we can accomplish that, then it will soon become extinct.
Judge, during the debates, you said that the state has the right to do as it pleases without the meddling of its neighbors. Would you care to explain about that?
If we lived with the principles of state rights and state sovereignty, each state would regulate its own affairs and mind its own business. If we acquired any new proportions of land from Canada or Mexico, we should take them as they have been found, and that their people would determine whether or not they have slavery or not.
Mr. Lincoln, the judge charged you with having said different things in different parts of the state. What is your opinion on it?
If it is to hold me responsible for my opinions in some way, I don't understand what he means by parading around them. In my speech, I brought up several people that are friends of the judge that have done the same as me, such as Thomas Campbell. Thomas's reply to the issue of slavery being in the form of a letter.
What was the date of those letters?
I do not have the exact date of the letter, however, it was sometime in 1850.
Some people that these debates reflect the nation's feelings on slavery. What are your opinions on that?
I feel that perhaps they do. The nation is split on this issue, and that's why attention is drawn so much to these debates.
I feel the same way, more on the fact that maybe what the states decide, the nation would decide for themselves as well.
I did have one more question for you, Mr. Lincoln. Are you really honest?
Yeah,
Are you sure?
I believe so.
And there you have it, folks. This is Luna Lovejoy signing off from Jonesboro. Back to you at the studio.
Thanks, Luna. That appears to be the end of our special news report. This is Jane Adams and Joanne Baldwin Turner saying good evening. And have a nice day.
This is Channel 9 News at Night at 7:45 on this cold and snowy night. I am Moody Jackson. Now over to Eliza Thomas.
Thanks, Rudy. 11 railroad cars of people from Indiana were among the approximately 12,000 in attendance. Answering Douglas's charge made in Jonesboro that he favored racial equality, Lincoln explained his views on race. Lincoln then charged that Douglas was plotting to create a constitution for Kansas without allowing it to be voted upon by the people of Kansas. Lincoln gave a detailed history of the Nebraska bill and explained a conspiracy existed to nationalize slavery. Douglas denied any conspiracy with Roger Taney, Franklin Pierce, and James Buchanan, and restated the charge that Lincoln favored equality of the races. Mr. Lincoln took the stand at 3:15 and was greeted with protracted applause. Now over to our reporter, Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Spillman here with Lincoln himself. What's your stance on slavery?
I believe that slavery should not grow and it should stay the same, and it is a moral problem, so if confined, it will die out on its own.
What's up with your top hat, Mr. Lincoln?
I use it to keep important letters in.
And what got you interested again in politics in 1854?
The Kansas-Nebraska had got me interested in the politics.
Thanks for talking with us, Mr. Lincoln. Hi, I'm Sarah Spillman, now here with Douglas. What are your thoughts on slavery?
Well, opposed Mr. Lincoln, I believe slavery to be more of a practical issue than a moral issue.
How do you feel about running against a man like Lincoln?
A man like Lincoln has no previous political experience, so I'm pretty confident that I can win these debates.
And how do you feel about Lincoln being a whole foot taller than you?
Well, that has no relevance to the debates, but I believe that the bigger they are, the harder they fall, so.
Thanks for talking with us, Mr. Douglas. Now back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Sarah. That's all we have for today for the Lincoln-Douglas debates. I'm Woody Jackson,
And I'm Eliza Thomas.
signing off.
Hello all, and welcome to Channel 4 News. I'm your anchorman, Woody Naismith, and we have a great story for you today. But first, the weather. The October cold has finally hit us, and it's here for a while. It'll be slightly cloudy and an average of 45 all week. Now on to the news. We have our reporter Veronica Corningston down at the final debate that has just ended between Abe Lincoln and Douglas at Alton. So Veronica, take it away.
Thanks, Woody. I'm reporting live at the scene of Alton where the debate just took place. Good morning, Mr. Lincoln. How are you today?
Good.
Mr. Lincoln, when you delivered what you understood to be the Republican Creed on June 16th, what were your principal points in that speech?
The first point was that this government could not endure permanently divided into free and slave states, as our fathers made it. My second point was that the states must all become free or all become slave states. And my final and last point was that the states must all become one thing or all become the other. Otherwise, this union cannot continue to exist.
Mr. Lincoln, you said that Douglas alludes very often in the course of his remarks to the exclusive right which the states have to decide the whole thing for themselves. Do you agree?
I agree with him very readily that the different states have that right. He is but a fighting man of straw with he is assumed that I am contending against the right of the states to do as they please about it. Our controversy with him is in regard to the new territory.
Mr. Lincoln, what is the real issue pressing upon every mind in this controversy?
The real issue in this controversy is the sentiment of the part of one class as a wrong, and the other class that does not look upon it as a wrong. The sentiment that contemplates the institution of slavery in this country as a wrong is the sentiment of the Republican Party.
Well, Abe, that'll do it for today. Thanks so much for your time.
My pleasure.
Good morning, Mr. Douglas. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
Douglas, you had stated that in several of your speeches, you included Lincoln's 3 main points. Did you agree with what Lincoln had said?
Absolutely not. In my speeches, I analyzed all of Lincoln's points that he made, and I pointed out the critical errors that I saw in them.
Mr. Douglas, Lincoln told us that the slavery question was the only thing that ever disturbed the peace and harmony in this union. Do you agree?
Not at all. The peace in our country has been disturbed several times, with the war with Great Britain, the question on the tariffs, and, of course, slavery.
Mr. Lincoln declared that he does not at all desire to interfere with slavery in the states where it exists, nor does his party. How do you feel about this statement, Mr. Douglas?
I'd expect him to say something like that down here. I'd like to ask him how he intends to annihilate slavery if he doesn't intend on interfering with it down here and also with the states that it takes place.
Well, that's all I got for today. Thanks for your time.
Anytime.
I'm Veronica Corningstone reporting live. Back to you, Ron.
Thanks, Veronica. It sounds like a great way to end the debates. It should be an interesting race to the Senate seat. That's all I've got for you today. So until next time, enjoy saying my name and stay classy, Alden.